There are moments when your faith rises quickly, boldly, almost effortlessly. You pray with confidence. You step forward believing. You feel sure this time will be different. And for a while, it is. You're calm, focused, steady, like Peter stepping out of the boat, eyes locked on Jesus, heart full of courage, doing what once felt impossible. But then, quietly, almost without warning, anxiety creeps back in. A thought, a sensation, a memory of past failures, and suddenly the wind feels louder than the promise. The waves feel closer than the calling. You haven't stopped believing, but fear has started speaking again, and you wonder, what's wrong with me? Why do I always end up here again? Peter knew this moment. 1 second walking on water, on, the next, sinking. Not because Jesus moved, but because fear redirected his focus. And if this morning you feel that familiar pull under the surface, that discouraging sense of starting strong only to feel overwhelmed again, stay here. This story isn't about failure. It's about what Jesus does when faith falters and what he reveals about himself. Right in the middle of your anxiety, Peter didn't plan to be afraid. He didn't step out expecting to sink. He moved with sincerity, obedience, courage. But anxiety has a way of arriving uninvited. It doesn't ask permission. It simply shifts your attention. One glance away, one moment of listening to the wind, and suddenly the strength you felt feels distant. Familiar fears resurface, reminding you of every time you tried before and felt overwhelmed. And you begin to question yourself instead of the storm. Maybe I'm not as strong as I thought. Maybe this faith never really lasts. Yet notice this. Peter did not drown in silence. He cried out immediately. Short, desperate, honest. Lord, save me. Not a perfect prayer, but a real one. And Jesus did not hesitate. He did not wait for Peter to calm down, or explain himself, or promise better faith next time. He reached out instantly. Anxiety did not disqualify Peter from being saved. It revealed how close. Jesus already was. If fear has returned this morning, if anxiety feels like it's pulling you under again, don't hide it. Don't analyze it. Call out. The hand that caught Peter is closer than your next breath. As Peter sank, the water didn't close over his head before Jesus reached him. Fear felt overwhelming, but it was not faster than grace. The same Jesus who invited Peter out of the boat never withdrew the invitation when fear appeared. He did not say, "You should have known better." He did not step back and let Peter learn a lesson through pain. He caught him, and only then, gently, he spoke, not with anger, but with care. Anxiety often convinces you that you've disappointed God, that starting strong and faltering makes you unreliable, unworthy. But Jesus' response tells a different story. Faith that wavers is still faith. Courage that shakes is still courage. And the moment you feel yourself sinking is not proof that you never believed. It's proof that you stepped out. If anxiety has been whispering shame into your heart, silencing your confidence, hear this slowly. God is not measuring you by how long you stay above the water. He is revealing himself in how quickly he reaches for you. After Jesus caught Peter, they did not stay in the water forever. Together, they walked back toward the boat, not in panic, not in shame, but in presence. This detail matters because it tells us that rescue does not end the journey. It restores it. Anxiety did not cancel Peter's calling. It became part of his formation. Jesus did not send him back alone. He stayed beside him, close enough to steady every step, Sometimes we believe that once fear shows up, progress must stop, that calm is required before we can move again. But Peter's story shows us something gentler. Movement continues. With Jesus, even when your heart is still catching its breath. If anxiety has returned after a season of strength, it does not mean you are going backward. It means you are learning to walk with dependence, not to perfection. And this morning, that may be the lesson unfolding in you. Not how to eliminate fear, but how to stay close when it appears. This morning, if you feel tired of starting strong only to feel pulled under again, if anxiety has made you question your faith, your consistency, your worth, remember Peter, not as the one who sank, but as the one who stepped out, the one Jesus called by name, the one Jesus held without hesitation. Fear did not end the story. Grace did. And the same Jesus who reached into the waves that day is reaching toward you now. Anxiety may still speak. The wind may still roar. But you are not alone in the water. You never were. Stay here for the prayer that follows. Because it is not a prayer for perfect faith. It is a prayer for honest faith. The kind that cries out. The kind that reaches back. The kind that discovers, even while trembling, that Jesus is closer than the storm. Let's pray. Father, there are moments when my faith feels bold, alive, almost fearless. I step out with confidence, like Peter stepping toward you on the water in Gospel of Matthew 14. I feel courage rising inside me. I believe I can trust you completely. I believe I can walk where I never walked before. And for a moment, I do. I move forward. I leave the safety of the boat. I choose faith over fear. But then, the wind grows louder, the waves look higher, and suddenly, the same heart that felt brave begins to tremble. Anxiety creeps in quietly. It tightens my chest. It clouds my thoughts. And I start sinking in the very place where I once felt strong. Lord, why does this happen? Why do I begin with such confidence, only to feel pulled under again? Hold me in this tension between bold faith and fragile emotions, and teach me how to keep my eyes on you, even when the storm refuses to calm. Lord, I know what it feels like to take that first brave step, to say yes to you, to believe your voice more than the noise around me. In those moments I feel unstoppable, certain that nothing can shake the trust rising in my heart. But anxiety does not always announce itself loudly. It builds slowly, one thought at a time, one what if at a time, until the wind seems stronger than your promise, and I begin to notice the storm more than I notice you. Father, when my focus shifts, everything inside me shifts. Peace turns into panic, confidence turns into doubt, and the water that once held me feels unstable beneath my feet. I do not want to sink in the middle of obedience. I do not want fear to erase the miracle that already began. Teach me to recognize the moment my eyes wander and gently draw them back to you. Before the waves convince me that I cannot stand where you called me to walk. Father, when I begin to sink, shame rises almost as quickly as fear. I think I should have known better. I think my faith should have been stronger. I tell myself that if I truly trusted you, I would not feel this anxiety again, and the weight of disappointment pulls me down even faster. But when Peter cried out, you did not hesitate. You did not lecture him from a distance. You reached out immediately. Your hand was closer than the water threatening to swallow him. Lord, Remind me that my sinking does not cancel your calling, that my anxiety does not surprise you, that even when my faith wavers, your grip does not. When I cry out from the middle of my panic, answer me with presence, not condemnation. Lift me gently, not because I was perfect, but because I am yours, and teach my heart that falling into fear is not the end, as long as I keep reaching for your hand, Lord. Sometimes what overwhelms me is not the storm itself, but the memory of sinking before. I remember other moments when I felt strong, when I believed I had finally overcome this anxiety, only to feel it return, and that repetition discourages me. It makes me question whether I am growing at all, whether my faith is real, or just temporary courage. Father, free me from the lie that progress means perfection. Peter walked on water before he sank. The miracle happened even if it was interrupted. Help me see that my story can hold both faith and fear, both courage and trembling, without being a failure. Teach me to celebrate the steps I did take, the risks I embraced, the obedience I showed, even if I stumbled afterward. And when anxiety resurfaces, remind me that I'm still in the process of learning to trust, still being shaped, still invited to step out again, without being defined by the moments I sink. Father, there is something fragile about starting again, about stepping out after you have already felt the water close over your feet. My heart hesitates. It remembers the fear. It remembers the embarrassment. It remembers how quickly confidence faded, and anxiety whispers that it will happen again, that I will rise in faith only to fall in doubt. Lord, silence that voice. Do not let yesterday's sinking steal today's obedience. If you are still calling me out of the boat, then give me courage to respond, not because I trust myself, but because I trust you. Teach me that faith is not the absence of waves, but the decision to step toward you anyway, even knowing my weakness. Strengthen my focus, steady my breathing, calm the storm inside my thoughts, and remind me that your hand is not reserved for perfect believers, but for willing ones who dare to move when you say come, even if they sometimes tremble on the way. Father, when anxiety pulls at me again, it feels like betrayal from my own mind. I tell myself I should be stronger by now, that after all you have done, after all the prayers you have answered, I should not struggle like this, and yet the wind rises without warning. My thoughts race, my chest tightens, and I feel the familiar pull beneath my feet. Lord, meet me in this very human weakness. Do not let my struggle convince me that I lack faith, because even Peter had enough faith to step out of the boat and still felt afraid when he saw the storm. Teach me that faith and fear can exist in the same heart, but only one must lead. Help my faith lead, even if it trembles, even if it is small. Let my anxiety become the place where I learn deeper dependence, not deeper shame. And show me that your strength is revealed most clearly when mine feels insufficient. Father, I notice how quickly my eyes shift from you to the waves. One moment I am focused on your voice, steady and clear, and the next I'm measuring the wind, calculating the risk, imagining everything that could go wrong, and the storm grows larger in my imagination than it is in reality. Lord, train my vision. Teach me how to look at you longer than I look at my fears, because whatever holds my attention begins to shape my emotions. When I stare at the waves, I feel small. But when I fix my gaze on you, something inside me steadies. Even if the storm does not disappear, your presence changes how I stand within it. Help me practice this holy focus, again and again, until it becomes my instinct. Not to analyze the storm first, but to remember who called me onto the water and who is still standing before me, unshaken, unwavering, faithful. Lord, sometimes I grow weary of the cycle, stepping out, sinking, crying out, being lifted, and then facing another wave. It makes me wonder if I will ever walk steadily without fear, if I will ever move forward without anxiety waiting in the distance. But maybe this journey is not about flawless balance. Maybe it is about constant dependence. Maybe every time I sink, I learn something deeper about your mercy. Every time I cry out, I discover how quickly you respond. Lord, if the process is shaping me, then do not let me despise it. Let every rising wave teach me endurance. Let every moment of weakness teach me humility. And let every rescue remind me that I am never alone on these waters. I would rather walk imperfectly toward you than remain safely in the boat without you. So even if my steps are unsteady, keep calling me and keep catching me until my trust grows stronger than my fear. Dear God, there is something beautiful hidden inside this struggle, even if it does not feel beautiful while I am in it. Because every time I sink, I learn how desperately I need you. Every time anxiety rises, I am reminded that my strength was never enough to carry me. And maybe that is the lesson. My heart resists. I want to feel in control. I want to feel stable on my own. But walking on water was never about Peter's balance. It was about your power. Lord, shift my confidence away from myself, away from my emotions, away from my ability to stay calm, and anchor it fully in who you are, unchanging, sovereign, present, even if the storm stays, even if my heart trembles. Let me remember that the only reason I stand at all is because you called me, and the only reason I will not drown is because your hand is always within reach, ready to lift me again, and again, and again. Father, as this day begins, I choose to step toward you again, not because I feel fearless, but because I know you are faithful. If anxiety rises later, if the wind grows loud in my thoughts, remind me of this moment. Remind me that I have already decided to trust you. When I feel myself sinking, let my first instinct be to cry out, not to hide, not to pretend, but to reach for you. I accept that my faith may start strong and still tremble, but I also accept that your hand never trembles. Keep me from returning to the safety of the boat just because I fear the waves. Teach me to value your presence above my comfort, and to see every storm as another invitation to draw closer. Walk with me on these waters. Steady my heart, guide my eyes, and let my story be one of perseverance, where even when anxiety pulls me under, your grace always lifts me back up. May the Lord's grace and peace accompany you today. Thank you for joining us in this moment of prayer.